Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Michelle Saeed, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and really the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're absolutely thrilled to have Andre Luck, the co-founder of Four Leaf Marketing and Consulting, joining us. Andre is a seasoned expert in B2B sales and sports marketing, helping businesses achieve efficient revenue growth through tailored digital marketing and consulting solutions. With a rich background in sports organizations like the Miami Marlins and Houston Astros, he's empowering the next generation of business leaders. So with that being said, let's dive in. Andre, welcome to Founders Future.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to
Absolutely.
be here.
Love it. Absolutely thrilled to have you on today. So, with that being said, let's kick things off for the listeners. Take us back to the beginning. What specific problem within the digital marketing or really like the sports industry landscape inspired you to actually start Four Leaf Marketing and Consulting?
Yep. So as you mentioned, a long career in sports, particularly Major League Baseball. So I worked with the Arizona Diamondbacks, Houston Astros, Miami Marlins, all within the ticket sales realm. And really it was in Houston when I was with the Astros. You can see the picture there. When I got there, we were the worst team in baseball. But by the time I left, we had gone to multiple World Series. And one thing I noticed is we were scaling up the business and performing well on the field. A lot of fans were coming on board, but not necessarily a lot of businesses. They were buying, but not at the same scale. So when we look for opportunities for growth, it was like, all right, let's grow our B2B sales efforts. But in sports, we sell so much to the fan, the consumer. There isn't a dedicated process put towards that. So when I got to Miami, another challenge, like attendance was an issue, and we were looking for ways to grow outside of team performance. Things that we control is our efforts to groups and organizations and then businesses. And again, I did a deep dive on what do the best companies do outside of sports. And I was humbled by the amount of intention, the amount of effort and focus they put from the whole go-to-market team, but really sales and marketing towards their efforts towards B2B sales. So when I left the Marlins and started my own agency, I was like, that's the first opportunity I want to look to tackle within the sports field of how do we improve B2B sales? So help sellers within sports increase sales. So that's one part of the business that I primarily focus on. But when we look to build it out, my wife, she's the co-founder with me. Her background's in digital marketing. Her background's more in like blue collar construction, roofing, and just modernizing some of their processes in social media. So those are the two immediate needs we saw. And as we dive deeper in the business, there's obviously opportunities to scale.
Love that. So, really, two arms from what it sounds like within the core business right now. Want to get into the nuts and bolts for the listeners, even
Yep.
potential clients of yours that may be tuning in. Walk us through really like the revenue model today. What is the core offer? Because there are a couple things here: social media management from our research, paid digital advertising, and then strategic consulting, right? More primarily on the sales side. So, how do you structure what you do for your clients, such as sports organizations or even some of the home service based businesses that you work with? Would love for you to paint that picture for us.
Yep. So really we say we help sports teams and small businesses increase sales. So really it's diving into understanding what that opportunity is. And if it's outside of our line of scope or our expertise, we have other consultants or people we could bring in to help with different projects. But really the core offering, social media management, my wife Brittany, she handles that for any of our clients that need that support. And then me, it's more on the strategic consulting side, looking at your sales processes. And a lot of it's through sales coaching with the reps, leadership coaching and development, but also helping build out the sales and marketing strategy. So what businesses are we going after? Lead generation efforts. So really it's diving in and understanding what the needs are. And if we could fill those and provide value, we'll look to build out either one of our set programs we have built out for sales coaching or something a little more customized based on the need.
For sure. So, what does that typical client engagement look like? Let's say someone does come through the process. Now they are actively under retainer. And if you can share a little bit about your pricing model, I think that would be incredibly helpful. What are some of those? What does that time period look like? What are some of those modules or different components on the consulting side that you have in place and success at the end? What is like that goal at the end of the day?
Yeah, so I'll hit the pricing model first. I know
Yeah.
that was one of the things I needed to figure out too. I'm like, is this right? Is this too much? So really consulted people I already know in the industry and what they're doing. Any of the retainers we look to do, it's anywhere from 2,000 a month up to 10,000 a month, depending on the scope of work and everything like that. Really, it's mapping out what is the time commitment that they need? What is the expectation? Is it daily coaching calls with the team? Is it weekly coaching sessions and things like that? Once they're on board, we do an intake, or before actually through the process, do an intake, build out, hey, here's what the program looks like. We're good to go on that. And then for me, it's really just the two of us. So it's mapping out like the bandwidth to make sure that we can deliver and provide value for the clients on that front. Most of the coaching programs that we've done or sales training programs are on like a regular cadence, whether, like I said, weekly meetings or monthly training sessions, things like that.
Cool. And is it like a group style, like coaching format that you've implemented in place, or is it a little bit more like one-on-one, especially because it is strategic consulting? There's a little bit of that customization. Would love for you to share
Yep.
a little bit about how you've structured it right now on the productization side of things.
Yeah, so I'll go through a couple different clients. There's one outside of sports, they're a medical device company, and really what they were looking to do is scale their sales efforts. They're a small business, they got acquired by a larger company, and they were looking to take their customer service team and really make them more proactive, outbound salespeople, inside sales team as well. And so what we did was we took their current team, gave them training on sales best practices and tactics and techniques, and I work with them and meet with each of their reps on a biweekly basis. I listen to their phone calls. We do weekly sessions with them and the director that oversees the inside sales team. So that was something that we built out. That's been ongoing, one of the first clients for about 8, 9 months now. The other ones, like in sports, what we're used to in sports is a trainer comes in once a year, 2 days, that kickoff gets everyone excited. But really, for us, we wanted to do something that is more creating transformational change. So, not just coming in, getting people excited, because I've been on the other side. I've been a leader of a sales team. A trainer comes in, everyone gets all excited, but then they go back to what they were doing before a couple of weeks later once it wears off. So, we look to do something that's more reinforcing. So, we'll come on site for 2 days and then build like a reinforcement package afterwards, where it's probably biweekly or monthly calls with the leaders and the sales team over the next 3 to 6 months to make sure that sticks and make sure that's reinforced. A little customized for each, but the biggest thing for me is making sure that if there is that initial training session, there's ongoing development and coaching after that to make sure it sticks and the change lasts.
Yeah, 100%. And I love the fact that really you're focused on that longevity at the end of the day rather than
Mhm.
typical organizations like you see usually at the end there's or after a certain period regression that takes place once you get to that X mark. Now, common topic that comes up on the podcast a lot is offer productization, right? Especially with like your type of fulfillment model. So your wife and you guys are essentially the ones running a lot of that, and oftentimes capacity constraints can come up. What are some of the ways that you're thinking about scaling, productizing your offer in a way that is effective and manageable? Would love to hear your thoughts on that, how you're
Yeah.
navigating it as a founder.
So in a couple weeks, we'll hit our 1 year mark. So we're still figuring this out, but I'll tell you where my head's at today. One is just using AI to help just scale the admin type work and tasks, chat GPT, other tools like that, just to help just automate some things for us so we could focus on the work. So that's one piece that's really helped us out. But really, yeah, standardizing our packages so that you aren't scope creep, that's a big thing. Like making sure that you're not stretching yourself too thin because we can work at all times throughout the day. We create our own schedule. So we want to make sure that the packages are structured, it's pretty much streamlined. It also helps to just when people ask, what's your package? What do you offer? Instead of, oh, let me think about it and customize it, we could have something that's pretty set. So on the sports sales consulting side, what I like to lead with is the 2 day session and the 6 month ongoing reinforcement. And we'll
Right.
mix and match a little bit of the topics that we cover, but that's our standard package. If they want to scale that down, to maybe 3 months reinforcement or just the 2 days on site or just do all virtual. We have standard packages set and rates, but if it needs to go outside of that, we'll customize. But I like to lead with that just for simplicity and ease. And then same on like the social media side. Hey, here's what it costs per month to do social media. It comes with X amount of posts per week. We'll engage the community, things like that too. So that just helps us project out like what should we expect from a client from a revenue perspective, but also not go crazy trying to think of building out this super customized package. This is what works for most people. If not, we can build something a little more specific, but at least we are leading with something and we know how we can project out our hours should X amount of clients decide to take on this type of package.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was gonna say, even like on the result side of things, like having a little bit more of that predictability, right? So that you can start to create like a flywheel in a sense. If someone
Yep.
has come to you, you've already seen this, it's the same niche, similar sort of like components. How can we start to replicate this over and over again on that basis?
And that's been the biggest thing I've learned is, actually, because when you first lead with it your first time, you're like, all right, I think this is going to work. And you're like, oh, that didn't work. Let me adjust that for next time. And the next time you could actually tell, hey, here's what worked, what didn't work for the next client, and just do it better the next time. So it keeps getting better each time.
Yeah, 100%. Now, kind of building on the growth, walk us through your client acquisition right now. What are some of those channels, whether it is like paid ads, LinkedIn, social media, referrals, like what's been the most effective for like lead gen on that side?
Yep. All organic and referrals. I've thought about doing paid, but for now we're good there. But that's maybe something we visit down the road, like LinkedIn ads or something like that. But fortunately for me, like I'm selling to, at least on the sports side, I was the ICP I'm selling to.
Mm.
Like I have a lot of connections, very much subject matter expert in what it is. Like I'm selling to VPs of sales, directors of sales, CROs. Like those are roles that I was in or work very closely to. So I intimately know the pain points. I intimately know the challenges, the opportunities, and I stay close enough just talking to my peers that I worked with within the industry. It's a little interesting because now your friends are now prospects in your HubSpot CRM system. But at the end of the day, I think that helps any salesperson to know intimately your customer and like what are things that they're going through. For me, like it's been good to have referrals come through and be able to tap into my network, whether my actual best friends network are doing business or not, they can refer me to others. And within a couple calls, I can get to people at most teams. Some of it's come inbound, like when I first launched and started posting on LinkedIn and sharing what I was doing, there was a good amount of people coming in. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll just keep posting on LinkedIn and the business will keep coming. Like it has its peaks and valleys. And you may get a lot of interest, but those deals may not also come through sometimes. So it's really important for any salesperson, and I coach sales, so that comes natural to me to continue to prospect, continue to fill the pipeline, do outreach. I had to grow my network a lot over this past year because just within my network, which I thought was strong, wasn't going to be enough to keep the business going. So that's been a good lesson to learn is on a daily basis, put that hour, 2 hours on the time block to go out and do outreach to new people, book new meetings, and tap outside of my current network to continue to grow.
Yeah, 100%. I was actually I wanted to get your thoughts on that because sometimes with referrals, it's almost like the holy grail of an ideal lead, getting the hottest lead out there, but not always the most like predictable or consistent way to build like that lead generation engine per se,
Yep.
where you as a founder can step back and focus a little bit more higher level. How are you navigating that right now? I know you're looking into paid ads later on at some point. What are some other strategies on that optimization side that you're exploring to create more of that predictability with lead gen? I'd love to get your thoughts a little bit about that.
Yeah, for me, I just go back to my time being a salesperson. If you continue to do the outreach, like you can project out, like, here's how many opportunities you should probably create in a given month. And at this close rate or close percentage, you can start to map out and project out. So that's something I've really looked at the data, looked at the numbers, X amount of good leads turn into opportunities and they close at X% for X amount. So that kind of helps inform what I need to do. But like you said, the referrals are very inconsistent. There's
Yeah.
times where I'm like, man, like there's nothing in the pipeline, and three people reach out like that day, like, hey, I saw this post and wanted to reach out. And so there's definitely like the peaks and valleys. I haven't figured out to your question, like how to really project that out yet. But I'm starting to get a better grasp on, all right, you should in a given month expect maybe one good referral to come per week if you're continuing to do outreach and sharing stories, testimonials, posting content on LinkedIn. That's one thing that I've noticed is about one a week will come in. That's a pretty good lead. But for my outbound outreach, I need to continue to add to that to add to the mix.
Yeah, 100%. And then also like really finding out what is that sweet spot when it comes to that messaging and like having that messaging resonate with your audience, especially as you may be competing as well with other similar businesses within your vertical. Now, in terms of like that sales process, like I'd love to hear a little bit about how that's structured right now. Your background essentially, how does that all work? Is it just yourself doing the sales calls? You have a sales team in place? What does that process look like when someone does come through as like a prospect, and how are you engaging with them in that sense?
Yeah, it's just me. My wife, she's out there too, but she handles a lot more of the admin stuff for the business. So making sure that the money is coming through or collecting money and a lot of legal type stuff. But for me, the process is I have time on my calendar every single day to do outreach and to do outbound and everything like that. One thing I'm really big on is personalizing the messaging and doing something that's modern, that's different than your traditional just cold calling or sending your generic script out and blasting that out to hundreds of people through just automated channels.
Yeah.
I think that could probably get more scale, but I also know that in today's world where billions of emails are getting sent per day and just getting deleted, you have to do something different. You have to personalize, and that's one thing I really coach. So I use LinkedIn as a prospecting tool. I'm a big fan of LinkedIn Sales Navigator to see who's active and current, who's clicking on your profile, who's engaging with your content. It gives me cues and signs of like, all right, these people are at least aware of who I am or like engaging with the content and commenting. I'm not
Yeah.
going to jump right away and hey, do you want to meet because you liked it? Because that's going to freak people out. But the fact that I just put them on a list to monitor and keep up with, and then at some point I'll start to do outreach and things like that. I lead with a personalized video message on LinkedIn. On the mobile app, you could send a video message. So I'll record it like I'm on my laptop right now, record it, airdrop it to my phone, send it
Yeah.
over LinkedIn message if I'm connected to somebody, just to differentiate. It leads to higher responses. It's not always the response I want, but I do
Right.
get higher responses from that. And the call to action is, hey, either message me back here. I'm about to hit send on an email also. So I'll
Yeah.
send an email. That's my first touch point. I'll follow up in a few days. Hey, any feedback on my last message? And then go into my normal cadence with that. And that's work to get responses, get new meetings booked, everything like that. And I personalize based on, because I can offer services to all different areas of the go-to-market team within a sports team. So if I'm reaching out to a CMO, I'm going to go with a different message than I would to a CRO versus director of sales. So there's within each account, there's 3 to 4 different sales opportunities in there that I
Yeah.
could, tap into. So making sure I personalize it. But that's my outreach is LinkedIn plus email. I don't do cold calling, phone calls. I know a lot of the people. So I can either just text them or email or LinkedIn. And then you ask once a lead comes in, I'll take most of the meetings. If it's on the social media side or marketing side, my wife will take it. I may just be in to sit in to give my 2 cents or input, but it's us taking all the meetings. At some point, yeah, we'll probably need additional help and support, whether it's outreach or other things. But for now, it's just the two of us.
Yeah, I was just about to say that was like my next thing. Looks like you're wearing all the hats, running everything on your own. How is that sort of, given that you're the main salesperson, how is that sort of affecting your ability to focus on founder level work? It comes up as a theme on the podcast. We talk a little bit about really like the ups and the downs and the ebbs and the flows of being an entrepreneur. How are you navigating all of that now as you guys are looking at scaling?
Yeah. I think one of the benefits of working in sports, because there's long hours, because you work your normal 9 to 5, and then
Yeah.
you're working nights, weekends when games are going on, when people are off of work. So I'm used to just working a lot of different hours and finding time to either get up early or stay up a little later to knock some things out. So I think that helps, like from just the amount of time you put into it. But yeah, it is a challenge because there's other projects that I want to work on. There's being in a service business, you get to see some of those problems and you could probably solve a lot of that with tech. I want to put time into looking to build out different like tech solutions and things like that. That can't happen during the normal hours. I'm serving clients, trying to find
Yeah.
new clients and everything like that and running the business. And still involved just locally, like in chamber and networking events and stuff like that. So a lot of it comes on nights, weekends where I get some extra time to think about where do I scale the business? Where do I want to go over the next year, couple years? What are other things that we want to scale and grow our business into? I'm always thinking about it. One of the great things is this is for us. Like we're building it for ourselves. We have 3 daughters. Sorry if you hear them running by right now. They're home from
No,
camp.
not at all.
But we eventually, if this is what we think it could be, we could pass this down to them, have them be involved in it someday. So like for us, it's not any stress to always be thinking about the business because we wanted to create this lifestyle for ourselves. So we're always just thinking of ways that we can continue to grow and develop it.
Yeah, I actually love that. And you're thinking about that already, right? Maybe not having those ideas in place, but at least foreseeing that now. And with that being said, what is that next step for you as like an entrepreneur in terms of like that's the skill side of things? Are you looking at finding the right talent in place to help on the sales side, business development, marketing? What's that evolution looking like for you as you're looking at really scaling the company?
Yep. The first thing when I was just getting started was like who will hire us to do work? Anything. Pulling leads for somebody. That was our first client. An old employee of mine was running a sales team and just needed help pulling leads for a sales team. That was the first thing that we did. A little bit of sales coaching here, coming on site and going to do some training. So I think now at this point, all right, I've been able to get a couple different test cases and testimonials and social proof and things like that. So more looking for longer term commitments out of projects that are a little more sustainable. So you're not always having to go chase the next deal or next opportunity. And the other thing, like with training, I didn't want to just get locked into just doing sales training where every week I'm on the road at a new team or a new city and like doing training. I want to be able to do some virtually. I want to do consulting to really like work and coach. So that takes time. That piece of finding more longer term projects that are a little more sustainable, a little more predictable will allow us to focus on other things. There's other projects I mentioned, like building out different tools, tech, AI. One challenge that I see within sports specifically is you have all these fans that come to games. You have all these salespeople who are trying to sell them to come out buy season tickets or groups and things like that. But it's very manual process. So how do you more automate that, streamline that, kind of that middle of the funnel journey to try and
Yeah.
get people more interested so they raise their hand and talk to a salesperson, or when the salesperson reaches out they're more educated, looking at different tech solutions to either help with that or solve it. Could be a product that we then go resell and build a service around. At some point, yes, like I can't do all these in myself, we're gonna have to build teams underneath us. But those are areas that I look at, like being in a service business, you get to see what the challenges are. And I think I said this earlier, like you could build solutions to help solve that. So that's the fun part of getting to talk to all these different teams. There's a common theme. Nobody's been able to figure that out. So let's, with tech and AI and ChatGPT coaching you through, you can figure out a lot of stuff pretty quickly.
Yeah, I love that. And especially internally for you as well, like creating a lot more of that solution awareness to begin with, right? So that as an entrepreneur, you focus a little bit more on really condensing that product cycle, essentially leading
Mhm.
a bit more with product led growth and having essentially those results speak for themselves in that sense. What's like the vision for really growing over the next 6 to 12 months? Do you have any like performance milestones, revenue targets? I'd love to hear a little bit more about some of your goals there.
Yeah, and going back to the last question real quick, I forgot to answer. I'm looking at slimming down like what we offer and like really honing in and niching in on certain things. Maybe it's LinkedIn coaching just for sports sales teams, or we're only going to do this 6 month program. If that doesn't work, then it's not a fit. So I think that's going to help too. Just provide some more predictability in what we're doing. Sorry, question again?
Yeah, top priorities for the next 6 to 12
Oh
months.
yeah, yep.
What does that
The
look like?
goal I've Yeah, the goal I've always had, and I don't know, maybe it was just like for me, oh, that'd be a cool milestone to get to $1 million in revenue for the year. Like you hear a lot of founders talk about their 0 to 1 journey. And for me, like that'd be great if we could do that in a year. I think the way we're currently structured, I don't know that this model is sustainable to do that. So at some point you're gonna have to grow the business or bring in more tech or something like that to help us automate and streamline some processes. So I think that's going to be like the first big milestone for us, like in a year to be able to accomplish that. I think it's going to be really cool. And then for me, I'd love to either start other companies. There's a couple projects that I'm co-founder in, and like other opportunities too outside of what I'm doing day to day.
Yeah.
So being able to, you touched on this, take more of a founder long-term mindset, and you're not in the work, operating, doing the work day to day. That's ideal long term. And then I look and see there's these different portfolio of tools or companies that I'm working with at a high level in a fractional capacity to help grow and scale.
Yeah, no, I love that. And honestly, having a lot of that systemization in place, I'm sure like the listeners tuning in as well, there comes up all the time. There's like three theory of constraints, right? I'm not sure if you've heard about it. It's always lead gen,
Mhm.
sales, but also thinking operationally about how you can start to systemize things and focus a little bit more on letting that work for you as like a business owner. Now we're in the lightning round. I want to get your thoughts a little
Okay.
bit on how you see the digital marketing industry evolving in the coming years, especially your focus being niched down on sports and B2B sales. How is Four Leaf Marketing and Consulting positioning itself for that type of future?
Yeah. And I touched on it. Like, I think the biggest opportunity is like that middle of the funnel journey and like using marketing channels to drive revenue. I don't know that in sports, a lot of time the marketing channels are tied back to revenue. It's impressions, it's likes, followers, things like that.
Yeah.
But metrics that are working to increase pipeline, looking to drive and close at conversion rates and things like that's where I'm focused is like that piece of marketing and like how is this all tying back to and how can you can't attribute everything, but like how can you build systems and processes that drive more pipeline for the sales team and increase conversion rates?
Love that. Now, for the listeners, entrepreneurs, founders looking to follow in your footsteps, what's one tool or resource, maybe even like a technique on the sales or marketing side that's been like a game changer for you as you've grown and you're looking at scaling the business?
Yeah. So I'm intentional about posting every single day on LinkedIn. And I'm not saying everyone has to do that, but I think that's a good tool and channel to, for me, it gives me immediate feedback. Like I could see a post and see who likes it or see what resonates with it. I told you earlier, it helps me figure out, all right, that's a signal of someone that I could go after as a potential prospect. So I think using LinkedIn, using video to humanize the process too. So people know who you are, see who you are. I post a video every week on YouTube and take those clips and put them on LinkedIn. That's a tool that I don't think a lot of people use. And in this world of trying to cut through the noise, like that's a way to do that versus traditional just email and that just gets read and deleted. Like you could see the person, you're like, oh, like you can actually resonate with them.
Love that. Now, On that note, that wraps up an inspiring episode of Founders Future. Andre, thank you so much for joining us today. And honestly, it was an absolute pleasure having you on. I wish we had your wife on as well. I would love to on the
We'll have to
market.
bring her back.
We'll do a part two,
Yeah.
hopefully in 6 months, and find out a little bit more about that runway for early 2026. So, to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. If you would like to get in touch with Andre and find out a little bit more about Four Leaf Marketing and Consulting, we'll link his LinkedIn profile in the summary below and the website. And if you would like to find some more resources and insights, you can visit us over here at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth through trained appointment setters and world-class marketing and sales systems. So until then, everyone, keep climbing, and we'll see you all on the next one.